If you've never made your own jewelry and you have no idea where to start, this video is perfect for you. I have been making jewelry for the last 5 years, and I'm going to show you guys how to make 5 really super easy things that any beginner can make. We're going to start pretty simple, and then by the end you're able to make a nose cuff, kind of like the ones that I'm wearing today. So yeah, let's get into it. This is going to be more of like a sit down vibe video. I was going to make more of like an overhead tutorial video, but I was just like not vibing with that. Just not my thing today. I grabbed one of my mini Cokes and I set up on the floor of my living room, and I'm going to make myself some jewelry. I have a small business. I normally don't make my own jewelry. I just make jewelry for my small business, but I've been in a really big rut, so I'm gonna make myself some jewelry. There are 2 projects that don't really use any wire. The first one is a beaded necklace, kind of like the one I'm wearing. These beaded necklaces are really nice because you don't need to use crimp beads on them. With 49 strand wire, because it is so flexible, you can tie it in multiple knots, and you can tie it tight enough that it won't come undone, and you can skip the crimp bead altogether. For your beaded necklace, you're also going to need something heavy to hold down the open end when we get to tying off the ends. Also going to need some sort of chain, the extension chain, if you want to make it longer or shorter. And then these are called collet ends, or clamshell covers, or crimp bead covers. They are vital to this necklace. You cannot make the beaded necklace without these. This is what they look like open. You have this little guy, and it has circles on both ends, a circle on this end, then you have kind of like a bump, and this portion closes inward, and that will cover the knot that we tie. This is where you're going to attach your jump ring, this little circle. You're also going to need a lobster clasp, and then you'll need your choice of beads. You can also add a wire wrap pendant or a charm. You can measure this out. I'm just going to kind of guess how much I need. So I want more of a choker style necklace, so I'm just going to cut myself more than enough. I'm going to give myself enough wiggle room here. A lot of people from here will close off one end of their wire. I'm just going to leave both ends open. If you don't trust yourself not to drop this, feel free to tie off an end. I think I'm going to do these white 2mm beads. If you have a charm or a pendant that you want to add on to it now, because it'll dangle in the center, and then you'll be able to bead on either side and it'll be even. If you're just doing one type of necklace, like what I'm doing right now, which is just like all the same bead, these are already mixed up, so I'm just putting them random on here. You can just bead off one side, you don't have to do both. But if you're doing symmetrical, this way is nice to keep it symmetrical. Alright, I cannot talk in beads, so I'm gonna add the beads onto this real quick. If you don't have beads at home, what I recommend doing if you don't want to spend an arm and a leg on beads is going to the thrift store and recycling old necklaces that you get from the thrift store. You can take them apart and reuse the beads. You can find so many good beads in there, and a lot of times the necklaces are only $1 to $2, and that is cheaper than what it would cost to buy a 15-inch strand of beads. I have rheumatoid arthritis, my hands start to cramp sometimes, so I am in fact dropping beads, but it's okay, the vacuum will get them later. If you are going to buy new beads and you want to shop online, I recommend shopping through Lima Beads and Tasia Beads. I've tried out, I'm dropping beads! I've tried out both of them, and they are both amazing companies. Right, so the necklace is now long enough to fit around my neck and overlap just a little bit in the back. So now what I'm going to do is hold on to both sides, and I'm going to pull. I have like a little desk down here, so I'm going to pull it forward. This is how your setup should look like. You're going to set your block or your heavy object over one open side, and then your other open side is going to be the side that you are working on first. So this is the open side that we have. Grab 2 of those clamshell crimp bead cover, collet ends, whatever you want to call them. You're going to put one on each side. It'll look something like this. But from here, you're just going to tie a knot. What I recommend doing is tying it like kind of in the center so you have enough space to work. And you need to be very careful. Don't pull too hard on this because you will rip it out of your block. I know, I've done it multiple times. I just take another pair of pliers and gently tug. That's how you do it. Be careful so that you close your knot. Then you have tiny little knot. And what you're going to do with that tiny little knot is you're going to make 2 more knots over top of it. So you have 3 knots right over top of each other. Do you see how it's right over that other knot? You can only do this on 49 strand wire. It will not work on 7 or 14. You have to use 49 strand wire. So this is what 3 knots look like. Clip off the excess tail. Close the end over top of it. And you're going to take your pliers and finish closing it. From here, you're going to grab the other side from underneath your block, and you'll have this long piece with one side done. You're going to add that other end on the same way with the cups facing upwards. So it looks like this. This is where your round nose pliers come in. You're going to tie a knot. And you're going to try and get the circle as close to this as you can right here. You want to take your round nose pliers and put it through that circle and pull on this tail. That way your circle ends up right by the base. I just take my thumbnail and push down on the knot and tighten it. This is a weird way to show it, but it's like we're making crafts together. And then you're going to do the same step. You're going to repeat like the first side and do 2 more knots over top of it. That third knot right over the first 2, so it just makes one big knot. And I mean, you can pull on this, it's not gonna hurt it. It's gonna clip. And from here, all you have to do is add jump rings to these closed ends and a clasp and chain, and your necklace is done. So I have a jump ring on one side, lobster clasp on the other, and then you should just be able to clasp it now, and you have yourself a really easy beaded necklace. You have to use any crimp beads when you finish it off, which I feel like makes it super beginner because crimp beads are the bane of any jewelry person's existence. For the next project, you're going to need some sort of thick chain, and you'll need enough to make a belt out of or a waist chain out of, depending on what you want to make out of it. And you're also going to need a lobster clasp, jump rings, some charms. I'm going to go through my silver charms and pick out which ones I want on my belt. Right, so I recommend cutting a piece of chain that goes around your waist and has quite a bit of dangle left. It all just depends on the size of your body. Is it against where it would sit with my jeans, and then I have about this much dangle left over, maybe a little bit more depending. So I'm going to be using a little spike on the end of it, but you don't have to. And then I'm going to be using a lobster clasp on the other side. Spike on one side, and then on the other side I'm going to add that lobster clasp. And from here we're just going to add charms randomly on the belt on one side. I always pin it on like one hip, so I'm just going to put all of them on one side because I know one side will be on my back. If you want charms on your back, you can do that, but that's up to you. And I'm going to only add charms in this section. So now that you have your chain laid out flat, what my chain looks like laid out flat, and then I'm just going to lay these out from here to here in whatever order I want them in. I'm just going to add them to the chain with jump rings. When you add them, make sure that you are adding them all to the same side. And what I mean by that is your chain will turn and flip, so just make sure that when you're adding them, they're all facing the same way, so that when they lay correctly on your body. I added all of them onto the chain. The type of belt would also be really cute over a dress, which is what I will probably wear it over. I just really like that it's versatile and you can kind of wear it in a couple different ways. And you can also change out the charms if you wanted to different charms if you got sick of the charms after a while. The next project is a wire ring. I make a couple of different wire rings, some with beads and some without, but today I'm going to show you a version of a ring with a bead. You can use a 4mm bead, a chip bead, a 6mm bead. Just be mindful that the bigger the bead, the more grace you're going to have to give yourself. Using a bigger bead, you want to make your ring a little bit bigger because it could be a little smaller than you think it's going to be. So I have a single wonky Larmar bead left, so I'm just going to use this for myself as an example because I also don't have a Larmar ring, so it's perfect. Because this bead is smaller, I'm just going to go with my normal size. I'm going to go with like a 6, maybe like a 6.5. Put your bead in the middle of your wire. I'm going to put the flat piece of this stone. If you're using a round stone, this isn't going to pertain to you, but if you're using a pebble or like a chip bead, put the most flat piece of the stone against the ring mandrel, and then you're just going to take the two ends and push them back so that the ring looks like this on your ring mandrel. It'll be like this in the back. Bring those pieces forward again so that you have something like this. Then you're going to pull your ends tight. So now you have something that looks like this on the back, this on the front, this one's over, and then this one's under. It doesn't really matter. You can do it either way. And what you're going to do is you're just going to push those wires in front. And I'm just going to take the top and wrap it down, and then take the bottom and wrap it up. I'm kind of working both wires at the same time. If you have a little bit of space like mine, don't worry about it. It's okay. We'll fix that in a second. I'm just going to keep taking those pieces around. So now I have something that kind of looks like this. Then from here, I'm going to take it off the ring mandrel, and you're going to clip these long ends. So I clipped them, so now it looks like this. You're going to take your round nose pliers, you're going to take that little end, and you're going to twist it in between the two wires and try and get it as close as you can. I always try and end my wires on the front of my ring. You don't want to stab yourself. You could also file the edges too if you wanted to. So now that I have that piece of wire wrapped, this is what the ring looks like around one side. And I'm just going to close off this other side too. After I've got both sides closed off, I always like to put it back on the ring mandrel and just make sure that it's the right size / it looks right. These are called the ivory rings on my website. I've been making these rings forever. I love these rings. They're just a little bit different than like the normal wire wrap rings that you see, so I really like it. The next thing that I want to show you guys how to make is really nice if you don't have nose piercings. The fourth project I want to show you are these really cute nose cuffs. I'm just going to cut off a piece of wire. This is probably 4 inches, I would say. You're not going to need that much, but to make these swirl one like this, what you're going to do is you want to start off with a teeny tiny swirl. Obviously you can see they're basically closed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off like a normal swirl. So here's the start of my swirl. Instead of continuing the swirl loosely, I'm going to close that tiny hole as much as I can, then continue my swirl around that. And you don't need a very big swirl. You want to get it as close to touching as possible. So just gently use your pliers. As you can see, I closed off the circle, and now we just have a small swirl starting. This is what my swirl looks like now, and what I'm gonna do is take this and make it straight. So you have your swirl made and you have your little T. So what I mean by you're gonna tee it off, so you're gonna make this portion straight here. I'm going to take this and measure it on your nose. Mine obviously is about this length, so I'm just gonna measure it right here. And then I'm gonna take my pliers and set it where I measured it, and then I'm just going to put it about the middle. You want it to be big enough that you can fit your nostril through it. You might have to finagle with the size a little bit. And you're gonna make a little U like this. You can clip this to about the same length that your piece is. All you do now is take the end and create a little circle. You see like the circle, how it's facing the one way? And then you're gonna put your pliers in there and kind of bend the other side. That way, comes out like so. Then you have the other side teed off. And now I should be able to take this one out and slide this one in. And then from here you can squeeze it to make it tighter, or if it's too loose, you can go back and redo the size. And I like these nose cuffs because you can make them a bunch of different ways. Like you can do like little like loops and swirls. You can add a bead. They're super cute. I might make a video of a couple different nose cuffs that you can make. I just think they're really easy and they're really quick to make. Super beginner friendly. And then the very last thing I want to teach you guys how to make is a pendant out of a crystal. This is just a raw amethyst tumble that I have. All you're going to need is 18 gauge wire and 22 gauge wire. You can use 24. It's basically you just need a thin wire to wrap the base together. That way you can lock your stone in. You're going to need 2 pieces of 18 gauge wire. So I'm just going to cut a piece of wire that's, I want to do 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This big of piece of wire, and I'm going to cut another one. I actually cut this one just a little bit bigger, just so I have a little bit extra room to make swirls with if I want to. And then I'm going to add these 2 pieces of wire together, and I'm going to center them. So one piece is way longer. You can make your pieces even if you want, but I'm just giving myself a little bit of extra wiggle room here. After you have your 2 pieces of wire, you're going to wrap that 22 gauge wire. I wrap mine 5 times. You can do as many times as you need to. And then because my stone is a V shape, I put mine into a V shape. I find V-shaped stones easier to work with, but that's personal preference. Now I have this shape going on here. What I'm going to do is push these wires, hold them on the sides as much as you can, which can be tricky, especially if you have a slippery, tumbled stone. If yours has like some like nooks and crannies, you can kind of take that wire and bend it around it at this point, especially along the back. Mine has like a little jut out piece, so this is how mine's looking. It's all natural with the stone. It all depends on the shape of your stone. And then I'm going to push this piece more in along here so that's more flat. I always make my bales forward to backward. So I'm going to push these 2 wires forward like this. So now you have this kind of shape. So your front of your stone is kind of locked in. Back of your stone's kind of locked in, but nothing's really set in stone yet. So now I have a little something like this. So I just made that bend in the bale and then I pushed it back forward. I have this shape. Whatever one is easier for you to start with. It doesn't really matter which. So I'm gonna make 1 loop around and then I'm going to tighten that loop with my pliers. You don't gotta be super hard with it, just be kind of gentle. This is all organic to your stone, but once you get to the bale, this is basically the same process. So the stone looks like. I'm gonna take that other side that's not locked in yet, and I'm going to wrap that around the base. I'm gonna clip the shortest, so whatever, these are both basically the same length, so whatever one is inside is the one I'm gonna clip. So I'm gonna lift this up a little bit and clip the inside of this. So now I only have 1 tail sticking out. I retuck that other piece. So the piece that you just cut will be in between your bale. So what you're gonna do now is bend those 2 wires forward and you're gonna create a circular shape. Just gonna go in with these pliers. You can use bale making pliers, it'll make them a little bit more even, but for the sake of you not having them, if you don't have them, you can use round nose pliers. So you should have this shape now. I'm just gonna take this tail and wrap it so that these 2 are sort of locked in, but this is the front of the bale and then this is the back of the bale. So what I'm gonna do is take these pieces, and they already wanted to go this way, so that's why I'm gonna take them. And I'm gonna hold on with my round nose pliers while I do this, so that way it doesn't mess up my circle too bad. And then from here, you can just take whatever one and wrap it. This is really good for just wire manipulation. I mean, I've been wire wrapping for 4 years, and mine still wire wrapping a raw stone is a little tricky, so this is kind of what it's looking like right now. And then I'm going to clip that piece in the back and tuck that loose wire. And always try to tuck your wires that you cut if possible, because they will come out and stab you if you're not careful. I'm gonna take that other piece now, wrap her forward. What we're working with now. So I have one tail left. This is the front. This is the back. I'm filling in any random little spots that I see. And I'm just gonna take this piece and continue wrapping down my stone. And you can take your pliers and push this wire flush anywhere that it's not flush at if you want. The front. This is the back. And then with the end of this piece, you can do a couple different things. You can either clip it like before, you can make a little circle. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wrap it. And then I'm gonna make a little circle on the end of this. Like so. I just did this one really quick for the sake of the video. The thing with this style wrap though is you can do a lot of different things with it. This is just a basic of any wire wrap. And it's super easy to do. Anyone can do it. But this is just going to teach you basic manipulation of wire and how to get the stone locked in. The more you do it and the more you practice, the prettier it will be. And there you go, 5 really simple jewelry projects anyone can make. Beginner friendly. I definitely plan on making more of these teaching and tutorial videos. This was just like a sit down, make some stuff with me. But if you guys like these kind of videos, please let me know because I will make more. I have so many different ideas in my brain that I would love to show you guys. So yeah, have a good day.